What's up, YouTube? Salos got back again, and today we're going to be reacting to another Sensible Saiyan video. And, since I don't think we give Vegeta a lot of direct love on this channel, we're going to react to this video. And ironically enough, since I said love, probably the worst moment of Vegeta's entire life, too. So already, starting off pretty, on the flip side of it. But hey, at least he'll be on the screen.
Okay, we all know Vegeta works really hard, arguably trains harder than Goku himself. Actually, he
Uh,
definitely does if we're talking
does he train harder than Goku? Mm-mm. See, that's kind of tricky. I would say it's at certain points where they trained harder than each other. Goku on the way to Namek, okay, he was training harder than Vegeta. Then the next arc, Vegeta seeing Goku had Super Saiyan, okay, he trained harder than him, got Super Saiyan, ended up being stronger than him. Then, I guess you could cancel out well, actually, with the time chamber thing in the Cell Saga, Vegeta trained twice as hard as him. But what Goku said, the thing about overwork and stressing your body won't matter if you can't rest till you have your gains. He still trained harder than him, but that time it didn't matter. Then in when Goku went to heaven and got Super Saiyan 3, it's kind of you can't out train that. He was training every day with no drawbacks. So. I would say at points he does, but it's never just outright, okay, yeah, Vegeta's been training harder than Goku this whole time because that's just not true. So that's how I feel about that. I would say they go back and forth with that.
about pure prolonged effort. And there wasn't a better display of that in DBZ than Vegeta's training to prepare for the androids. I think this is Vegeta's best training camp, but also my favorite training in DBZ and probably in any anime I've ever seen. The reason why is because 1, the training itself was so gritty, intense, and motivating, and 2, Vegeta's motivation for this camp was just insane. So we're going to analyze this camp after taking a deep look into the backstory and finally talk about the results of his efforts. So let's go to
Damn
the
near
end of the
passed out.
Frieza saga. Vegeta got killed by Frieza after pouring his heart out to Goku for him to beat Frieza. Later on in the fight, they revived those killed by Frieza and his goons back to life, and then transported them to Earth so Goku and Frieza could have their final showdown on a dying Namek. Goku beats him and the message is relayed back to Earth. Vegeta hears that Goku has become a Super Saiyan. He's shocked, dude. I'm sure he was a mixed bag of emotions. Happy to finally be free of Frieza, but also his ego could barely take that another Saiyan, a low class one at that, achieved what he never could. So some time passes and they wish Krillin and Yamcha back to life.
Like, I'm gonna look good with that hairstyle.
They also try to wish Goku back to planet Earth, but Goku refuses. He has training on planet Yardrat that he wants to finish up before he comes back.
What the hell
Now,
is Gohan hairstyle? What the?
at this point,
Damn.
Vegeta's been waiting for Goku to come back, but after hearing that it's gonna take some time, he grabs Dr. Brief's spaceship and just books it, probably to look for Goku and get some training in. But he comes back later and kind of just assimilates to life on Earth. At this point, he's training, but not enough to make serious gains. Think about it though, this is Vegeta's first time ever as a free man since he was a child, and probably his first time ever not being involved in battles or wars. And he's in such a weird place right now, because he knows he's not the most powerful Saiyan. Goku is looming in his head, but he hasn't even seen him as a Super
Prince
Saiyan. On the
free.
outside he's at peace, but inside he's probably at a war with himself. And then everything changes when, about a year after they summon the dragon, Frieza shows up to Earth with his father, King Cold. The Z Fighters all stop what they're doing and show up to see what's going on. They're 100% sure they're gonna get cooked by Frieza, even Vegeta. But then some mystery guy, Trunks, shows up to challenge Frieza, goes Super Saiyan, and then absolutely decimates him, who has PTSD after
Lord
seeing
have
another Super Saiyan.
mercy.
Then Goku shows up and also turns Super Saiyan and just starts flexing on everybody with his Super Saiyan finger. Trunks reveals that he's from the future and that he's there to warn the Z Fighters about 2 androids coming in 3 years. That the androids kill nearly all of them in his timeline. He was just giving a heads up for everybody to get in the gym and be ready for these 2. Okay, let's pause here and take a look at Vegeta's mindset at this time. First of all, he's already had to grapple with the fact that a low-class Saiyan like Goku became the legendary Super Saiyan and avenged his people. And Vegeta's waiting on Goku to show up so he can see what Super Saiyan looks like on another man? Ugh. That was supposed to be him, but now some complete random shows up, and it turns out he's also a Super Saiyan. And he's only a teenager who doesn't even look like a Saiyan. He even makes Frieza look like an absolute joke, somebody who had Vegeta in a vice grip for his entire life.
Damn.
Do you know how demoralizing this is for anybody with a competitive bone in their body, let alone somebody with as much of an ego and pride and his heritage and abilities as Vegeta? And then the
No wonder
cherry
he,
on top is that he learns he's supposed to get bodied in a few years.
no wonder he went Super Saiyan. I imagine you're so prideful, you think you're the strongest Saiyan ever. The person that's literally supposed to be under you terms surpasses you and goes Super Saiyan, and he's so many leagues above that it's I'm not gonna say it's immeasurable, but unfathomable, whatever you want to say, doesn't matter. Then the the same person comes back that he killed. You know you don't have a chance. You don't see him. You think you're done for. Somebody else randomly comes out of nowhere, turns Super Saiyan, and kills them. Vegeta's ego was shattered. I see why he went Super Saiyan. His emotions were I can only imagine that. Basically everything he believed in, yeah, his whole life. It's basically his whole life shattered in front of his eyes. If you really think about it like that.
By a couple of androids. Look, at this point, Vegeta
But it's really just like you said. He's at peace on the outside. Well, I guess on that day he wasn't. And a war in his mind. And I guess he at that point after he lost the war,
has had his little
helped him go Super Saiyan. I think what really helped him go Super Saiyan is when he was having that dream with Goku and Trunks flexing on him going Super Saiyan, pushing him back with their aura. And he couldn't even do nothing but just away and try to match up, but he couldn't. I think that was his real breaking point. But again, that all ties in and coincides. So.
little R&R on Earth, but after what he's just seen, it's time to get in the gym for real this time and put in some
Hmm.
serious work. He's determined to prove that he's the most powerful Saiyan, that this is just a hiccup in his life, that he's better than Goku, better than this other Saiyan Trunks. But the reality is, man, he's way behind him. And
Light
Goku's only going
years.
to get stronger because he's starting his own intense training. So Vegeta's got to do something crazy to close the gap between them, and even more to surpass them. And he's about to. Goku starts training with Piccolo and Gohan to prepare for the androids, but Vegeta trains by himself. He doesn't even really think too much about the androids like the rest of the fighters. This is way deeper than that. It's about proving himself as the man he claims to be.
The thing is, they said Vegeta was stronger than Goku when they both came back, right? I think I'm not saying Goku would have been stronger than him, but because Gohan and Piccolo, two people that can't really push him, he was basically destined to, be second to Vegeta. When Vegeta could just train by himself 300 times gravity and get stronger, nobody holding him back. Versus Goku having to hold back on Piccolo and Gohan, probably could barely even go Super Saiyan. So I could see why he didn't grow as much as Vegeta. He didn't have, that extra push.
So Vegeta demands that Dr. Brief install the gravity machine to be able to crank out 300 times Earth's gravity for him to train in.
I didn't even know that. I just guessed 300 times. That's crazy.
Goku trained in 100 times on his way to Namek, so he wants to triple it. He starts out with a cool crisp 150 times gravity and quickly goes to 300 like he wanted. We see him do a super intense reflex training where one of his own energy blasts is being bounced off of these robotic devices, obviously while under the pressure of
Ali
ridiculous
weave.
gravity. It's funny because to show how intensely Vegeta trained, we get to see Yamcha training just outside of Vegeta's pod, and it's pathetic. Man's just out here punching
One,
the air with
two.
no intensity.
Stupid
And he was brain dead enough to think he could handle even a minute of Vegeta's training. He almost got turned into a pancake when he tried to get a taste of 300 times Earth's gravity. He was delusional and just didn't want to admit that Vegeta was him.
I don't think Yamcha could stand for more than 15 times. 10 times, yeah, he could because of King Kai, but anything past 15, he would struggle.
Because he was in the process of stealing Bulma away from Yamcha. And bro didn't even try, he was just putting in crazy amounts of work, and she respected the grind. Anyways, back to the training. Vegeta is just going so hard that he's wrecking Dr. Brief's training devices. And one day, he takes it too far and has a pretty horrible training accident where he blows up the gravity chamber. They hospitalize Vegeta, and we see him having a nightmare about how Goku and Trunks are
Just what I was
so out of
talking about.
reach. They're mocking him with their power, and he feels he can never catch up to them. But then, in his own dream, he gives himself a pep talk and reminds himself of who he is, the Prince of all Saiyans. Then after waking up, we see him still bandaged up going right back to his training. He tells Bulma to leave him alone after she tries bossing him around. She really cared about him at this point, but he wasn't gonna let anyone get in the way of his training, even though he was getting a little soft on her at the time too. Time goes on, and we see he's training in 400 times Earth's gravity
God
now,
damn.
doing shadow boxing, calisthenics, even looks like the man's doing gymnastics flips in there. Whereas before, he didn't have nearly that kind of mobility under a lower gravity at that. And the gravity is set to constantly increase, so he's never fully used to it. We see it go as high as 450, and still we see him say, "No, I can do more." He even goes to space later on a remote planet to have absolutely no distractions in his training. After completely wiping himself out in training one day, he has to defend his ship from a meteor shower and gives everything he has left to destroy a massive meteor. Then we see him on the ground, beaten up and battered. He's been training like a maniac for years now, and he's still not a Super Saiyan. And he just almost got killed by a rock. He just doesn't care anymore. He's just done with it all. He's had enough. He's just done, bro. All that non-stop work, and for what? He's not even a Super Saiyan, and these other guys just make it look so easy. He even gives up in his life at this point, because in his mind, what's the point anymore? That's how low he sunk when click, the switch hit, and he finally became a Super Saiyan. And it was such a well-deserved moment too, because he put everything into it for years. For anybody that's ever felt like they were behind in life, this training camp is just so motivating, because it's just complete isolation and dedication to where you want to be. And it's not cheap and quick too, like a lot of other training montages in anime and shows. It's this long and tedious grind that finally pays off. That's what this training is. And stuff like this is why people love Vegeta, man. So the aftermath. When training time was over and androids 19 and 20 came, Goku had a terrible performance against 19 because of his heart disease. Vegeta steps up to the plate, kicks away Goku's carcass, and starts going to
Hmm.
work. He was the most powerful character in the show at this point in the series, just like he promised he would be at the start of his training.
Was he
He
a booster?
absolutely decimates 19, makes him question his AI programmed reality, gives him false hope, then tears off his arms and destroys him with the Big Bang attack. He was just basking in the glory of his achievement. And look, we know it didn't last long, but this is DBZ, don't get it twisted. The title of the
Yeah, like
best
he
or the
got his arm
strongest
twisted.
isn't just something that people hold on to for long. It switches hands constantly, and that's okay. You don't get to just train like a madman for a season like Vegeta did, and then all of a sudden you just can't be beat. No, there's always more you can do, and there's always new plateaus to go beyond. Vegeta learns that pretty soon himself the hard way. And that's the video for today. Let me know in the comments what your favorite DBZ training was, or in any anime for that matter. I appreciate you for watching, and I'm out of here.
Another good video by Sensible Saiyan. All right, guys. Should I watch this one next? Well, I guess you guys will see what video I next reaction. So if you like the video, then like the video. Subscribe if you want, no pressure. And I'll see y'all on the next one.